All right, welcome back to the Brian Rush Show. Thanks so much for checking us out today. We do appreciate it, and I say this all the time, that we have local elections that are coming up, and those are always super important that we make sure we get the right people into office. And that means one thing. You've got to find out from some of these people what it is that they're all about, who they are, and why we should actually elect them. And coming up, obviously, August 18th, we got some primaries that are coming up, but November 3rd on the general election. We also have some other elections that are going on, including the election in Panama City Beach for Ward 1 for the City Council. And I want to welcome to the show Grant Wittstruck, who is one of the candidates for the Ward 1. There's two people that are running, and we want to get to know Grant a little bit. Grant, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me, bud.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming on. I know you for a little while, so I know a little bit about your background. So you don't have to tell me or convince me much, but what I do want to have you do is convince the audience. And we have a big audience in Panama City Beach. Who's Grant, and why should we vote for you?
Yeah, Brian, thanks for having me on. Yeah, so I've lived here about 15 years. The first 5 years, I was traveling about 2 weeks a month, and as soon as I had my daughter, we made the decision to cement ourselves here in Panama City Beach, and I started my new agency Lat 30 at that time, and so I don't travel like I used to, but in fact, the entirety of the 15 years I live in Panama City Beach, I've been in Ward 1. I lived in the Glades. I used to live in when I first got here. I lived in the Cabana West apartments just down the way, but now I'm right here in Breakfast Point. My wife's a school psychologist for 4 beach elementary schools at Walsingham, Breakfast Point, West Bay, and Surfside. So she's very active as well in our community. And my daughter and son, they go to Breakfast Point. My daughter's 10, my son's 7, and we just love Panama City Beach, and we're proud to call it home for the last 15 years. And I also serve on a ton of different boards and nonprofits here in Panama City Beach. One that's near and dear to me is the Grand Lagoon Coalition, where we help bring greater visibility of the Grand Lagoon area. And this Friday we have the fireworks, which is one of my favorite things to put together. And I help bring all the different businesses together to help raise money so we can make that a reality. I'm also on the Beach Care Services Board, where I serve as the vice president. And Beach Care Services, we help raise money to help our local residents with their mortgage payments or their rent or their utilities when times are tough for them. Or I'm also the treasurer for the Panama City Beach Chamber of Commerce, and where I'm super active in trying to help other businesses become more successful in the businesses that they have, right? And then my service with the Navy League, that's a new one for me. I just came on after the USS Peter project. And then I'm also on the planning board for the city of Panama City Beach, and the half-cent sales tax oversight committee. And I'm just proud that our local leaders thought I had the leadership abilities and had the trust that I'd be a good advocate for the city on those city boards as well.
No, that's awesome. I don't know how you have time to do anything else, with some of those boards, because I know each one of the things that you're on, and that's a lot of work, which is good because it shows that you are pretty committed to the community. I mean, each one of those groups that you're part of do amazing work for our community, and that's good because whoever we want in these positions making these decisions, we want to make sure that they are somebody who really does have the best interest in the community in mind, and you do. So I want to get into a little bit about, what you want to do, what you want to see, what you can do as a city council member. There's so many things to go with. I mean, starting off with, we are the world's most beautiful beaches. And I talk about this on the show all the time. During commercial breaks, we flash a beach cam every now and then. And people that watch that go, wow, it's beautiful. But it's just nowhere near as beautiful as it is in person. And the city has changed and grown so much. And we've done so many things. But there's still some things that kind of, every now and then I get irked with. And my biggest thing ever, and I used to get on it with Mayor Sheldon about this all the time. And he'd be like, Brian, stop it. One being the lights over there at Nautilus, but I won't get into that because my thing is I just want to bulldoze the thing and get it over with. But that's a whole other subject. But the beautification of Panama City Beach, because since I got here, and I got here about 19 years ago, and then there's been a dramatic change in the way that we looked. We were always the beautiful beaches, but the town was eh. And now that's changed a lot. But one of the things that irks me is the grass. And we were talking about this before, and it kind of gets you too a little bit. But talk about the
Yeah,
beautification of the city and making the city pretty, because we're under so much construction right now and
yeah.
growth. What are your thoughts on the look of the city?
Yeah, man. Like it's one thing to have the world's most beautiful beaches, but if our front yard, our grass along the right of ways is like, 10, 12 inches tall going into our peak weekend, you just start looking around like, What's going on here?" Right? And dude, that gets me, and it gets a lot of local residents. And I get it's a very complex conversation, which shouldn't be. I mean, just cut the grass, right? But between the state being in charge of the state highway, which is Back Beach, or the CRA going through, or personal property rights, or assignment property around pu- Pier Park or whatnot. It's a very complex topic. But at the end of the day, like when we have grass that's like knee high in some sections, or the beautiful new medians along Back Beach where the grass is almost dead in some areas, it's not the fault of our current city leaders, but how can we put our heads together to buy some more mowers and hire a couple guys to run them, to whether it's state highway, the state's in charge of it, in between their scheduled mows, which I think is like every other month. Like, yeah, let's have our guys, hit it once or twice, just to make it look good. Because I mean, specifically from the tourism perspective, we want to put our best foot forward. And you start looking around, it look beautiful beach, but the right of ways and the roads, that they're long grasses, it starts to make you thinking, if you can't take care of the small things, we're taking care of the big things. And and by no means do I think the big things are not taken care of, but it's just the little things around the corners. It'd be great if we could take care of that grass, because at the end of the day, if I let my grass grow like some of our right of ways and our medians is, code enforcement would be on me, and my HOA would be
Hmm.
sending me letters, and it wouldn't be fun. But I mean, that's just a little thing. It'd be great if we could take a better care of those right of ways and things, because I mean, we all live here. We want a beautiful town. And again, if it's we need to put more pressure on the state to take care of that, or to increase their, in the summertime, like they mow it every month or every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks, whatever that is. And then in the off season, when the grass is dormant, once every other month or something. It's just little things that it'd be great to revisit, just to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward for something as simple as cutting the grass.
Yeah, absolutely, because it does help a lot. I mean, when first impressions are everything, and when you roll into town and you see the sign "Welcome to the world's most beautiful beaches," and then you go,
Yeah.
do they not afford a lawnmower? What's the deal? But there's a lot of other things too. When it comes to the growth of the city, and the city's been growing dramatically. I mean, we see
Yeah.
not only in the city limits, but just outside the city limits on the beach, which a lot of people don't know exactly where that limit is, because as I've described it in the past, the city limits of Panama City Beach looks like it was drawn on a map at the No Name one late Friday night. It doesn't make any sense to a lot of us, but it is what it is. But
Yeah.
there is a lot of growth that's going on within the city, whether it be Pier Park growing, all the attractions that are growing. What are some of your other thoughts about the looks of Panama City Beach and where we're going forward with that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the culture of our beach certainly has changed over the last 15 years since I've been here. And if you've been here longer than that, you'd say it's definitely changed a lot more, right? I mean, there's a time in which, come Labor Day, businesses would shut down, the beach would become dormant, and it'd be that way until we get to Memorial Day, right? But we're now to a point where we're much more of a 12-month destination that we have ever been. Now, granted, December and January and even November and February a little bit, are softer months, but it's not busy like it is in July. But like, we have really done a good job of growing our community and our tourism. And the one thing we have to remember about our community is we don't have an ad valorem tax in Panama City Beach, and that's because of tourism. And so, going back to that, we have to make sure that we're growing in a way that we do allow for the tourism to go on, but we can't let that interfere with the quality of life that we have as residents, or our public safety, right? Um, but we've got some phenomenal new attractions that have come to town, whether it's Top Golf or Pirates Voyage, and soon to be the new Putt Putt and go kart tracks that are next to Pirates Voyage, or other projects that are coming, like the wave pool. um or Tootsie's just right down where Spinnaker is,
Hmm.
or McGuire's that just came in. I mean, we've seen a lot of great new investment coming into our community, and I'm proud to see that, because those are things that we wouldn't have some of those things if we were just a town of 19,000 or however big we are here in Panama City Beach, without tourism, right? And so it's those things that we get to have in our community because of tourism. And I don't know about the other residents of Panama City Beach, but my children, that they're actually loving the Pirates Voyage or Top Golf going out there, or even Frank Brown Park. Man, we are blessed to have Frank Brown
Right.
Park. My son just he just did the skateboard camp at Frank Brown Park this summer, and that's good to see him doing that. A little 7-year old just crushing the skate park, and then or whether it's the baseball and softball fields, or the soccer fields, or the pool there at Frank Brown. We just have some an amazing amenities that go into our quality of life that we simply wouldn't have if we didn't have tourism.
Yeah, that's true, and I know that often when I talk with residents about things election wise, I always hear the same thing going, well, what are they doing for the locals? And because
Yeah.
we always talk about tourism, but the reality is that without tourism, as a local, one, you're gonna start paying some serious taxes to get the
Yeah.
services that you're getting. So that's why I think it's important to talk about the tourism, because that is the main industry for Panama City Beach. It's one of the biggest ones that we have for the county as well. It provides a lot of jobs and a lot of tax revenue. But there's so many other things in addition to the family friendly stuff that we've seen, like the Dolly Parton stuff and the Top Golf and other things, because sports is also a big tourism industry, and we've seen a lot of that. As a matter of fact, I think it was just this past weekend. I think there was a softball tournament or something, and I don't know. It's hard for me to keep track of, because every time I turn around, there's another one. What are some of your
Yeah.
thoughts on growing the sports tourism here in Panama City Beach?
Yeah, I mean, I think sports tourism is a very big part of where we've gone with tourism. Like we're going into July 4th weekend here, and it's the kickoff of UFLA, which is they bring, like, I think 360 some odd teams to our community, and each team has 13 players. And each player represents a family of 3 to 4 people, right? And so the economic development that comes in from those sports teams is significant. And so embracing taking full advantage of public sports park, or eventually getting that indoor sports facility that they had to pause, things like that would be they're huge for our area. And it's the kind of tourists that we want to come to our community. It's families, right? It's not the bad spring breakers that come and beat up our community, right? And the more of those families that come here for a sporting event, they get to know how beautiful our community is. So when they go to plan their true vacation without sports, they have Panama City Beach at the top of their mind, and hopefully they come back for a return visit.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, sports tourism, I mean, it's a very vital thing here in Panama City Beach. And it's great for our student athletes and our kids getting involved in sports. And so, I mean, I couldn't be thrilled at what we've done as a community to embrace travel teams and things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've actually talked with a few people, including a local business guy who is involved in some of the stuff that we bring into this area. And we were talking before about doing a kind of a multi-use facility, kind of like a
Yeah.
civic center type thing, where you can bring
Yep.
in basketball tournaments, cheerleading things or whatever. Also use it for concerts and the likes. What are some of your thoughts on bringing in that type of facility, whether it be directly into Panama City Beach city limits, or right in that
Yeah.
outskirts? What are some of your thoughts on that?
Well, like I know they've got the indoor sports facility that they've been playing at down at public sports park, which would be a phenomenal thing for like the basketball tournaments and for some indoor cheer things. And that's coming. But to take it one step further, having a 10,000 person arena where we can have concerts, and we can have uh, indoor arena football, we can have ice hockey, we can have Monster Jam. Things like that would be absolutely huge for our community, specifically in the off season, right? Because there's a ton of different concerts and events that they travel across I-10 from Jacksonville to Pensacola to New Orleans that they could easily pop down to Panama City Beach for a quick event if we had a facility that could easily be turnkey for them. And the community that I come from, where I went to college in Sioux City, Iowa, they had a place called, and they still have it, Tyson Event Center, and it's just that. They got arena football, they've got ice hockey. They host the state basketball tournaments, state wrestling tournaments. And if we had something like that, even FSU would come over and have a auxiliary basketball game and things of that nature. It'd just be great for us to have as a community, and we've got the land for it. And right up there on 79 across from the hospital, somewhere in that
Hmm.
area would be right out of the way, be perfect. They can easily jump down to get into the hotels. We got the restaurants for it all. And I mean, I think building a plan to start getting to a point where we have a true convention center like that would be a true asset for us as a community. And I would applaud that in any way we can make that happen. Now it wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah.
We have to be mindful of a community. We don't want to add new things to our community if we can't maintain it and afford it, right? But if we can put a plan together where we can afford it, maybe use some TDC money, maybe some Triant Gulf Coast money. I'm not sure how that would all lay out, but something like that would be a true gem for our community, and not just for Panama City Beach, but the whole county.
Hmm.
And so it'd be great to have that.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's a lot of different sources out there that money can be brought in, and like you said, like the Gulf Coast Triumph is a possibility. I mean, we've got people like one of the and I forgot which one of the two Kramer boys. I can't keep the two of them straight.
Chris, yeah, Chris
Chris,
Kramer, yeah,
yeah,
yep,
Chris, has now just been appointed to that board, and he's big on that type of stuff. So maybe that's something that we can kind of lean on a little bit
yeah,
to get some of that stuff, because Panama City Beach is it's such a great area, and it's growing. And I know that there's still that stigma of I'm not crossing the bridge. Which
yeah.
to me is like one of the weirdest things, and I know you're not from here either.
Yeah.
And it's just like
But I've heard that all 15 years you can't, about
yeah,
crossing that bridge, man.
yeah, people used to be like, no, I don't want to go to the No Name because it's across the bridge. I'm like, it's attached to the bridge, whatever. I just let it roll. But there's so much growth that's going on in the beach, and one of the things that sometimes some people think about too is, when we see all this growth, does it get out of control? Are you afraid that there's going to get out of control at all? Because we saw this happen down the road in Destin, where
Yeah.
they had one road that went down through the entire road, and then they just piled everything on there, and then the whole town
Yeah.
went, "Oh God, we're full."
Yeah, yeah. Well, fortunately, I mean that's a real issue. Don't get me wrong. Like
Mm,
I think the other night, I was at an event at McGuire's. It took me an hour and 10 minutes to get to Breakfast Point. It's those kind of things that we be cognizant of, that we can't grow to a point where it takes an hour and a half to go 4 miles, right?
yeah.
I could have ridden a bike quicker, and so but the positive thing is, we're widening Back Beach, and I think $90 million of the widening project is coming from the state, right? And so we're fortunate to have leaders on the state level that have helped bring money to our community to accommodate future growth needs. And so it's definitely a concern. But the city's doing something about it, right? And so we're widening Back Beach, we're making our roads better. We're looking at other projects in different places, and so we definitely need to have that top of mind. But also, to the other side of it, if we can't afford it, if we build it out, that's even a greater problem, because we don't want to bankrupt our community for some new sports facility or some new widget, and all of a sudden we have to bring in the ad valorem tax, right? Because I'm not sure if I talked about it, but Panama City Beach is one of two communities of all of Florida that don't have an ad
Hmm.
valorem tax.
Yeah.
I mean, if you cross that big bridge, go across into Panama City or to Lynn Haven, those homeowners, they pay 4.799 mils on average per
Yeah, I
house.
know. Tell me about it.
And yeah, you pay for it probably,
Yeah,
and
I do.
yeah, and that's several grand a year per household, right? And because we have tourism here, we don't have to have an ad valorem tax, and that's not a guarantee, right? That's not a
Right.
that's not a right. And so the only way to make sure that we don't have that ad valorem tax is making sure we have a good relationship with the tourism industry, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying. And if tourism and tourists stop coming to Panama City Beach, that means they're finding somewhere else to go, right? And it can just take one trip in another destination for them to decide we're not going to make Panama City our annual trip every year. We're going to start going to Fort Walton Beach, or we're going to start going to Jacksonville, or we're going to start going elsewhere, right? And so those tourists aren't guaranteed year in and year out. And so one way to keep guaranteeing that is new things coming to our area, things that drive that off-season travel, having the Pirates Voyage and the Top Golfs and the Wave Pool and the Tootsies and the McGuire's and all the other big businesses that are on the beach that have been here for generations. Like, making sure that we have a healthy economy for them to thrive is crucial to ensure our long-term success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important for the success of the beach because again, tourism is the number one thing, and it is what pays the bills
Yeah.
here. So it's a very important thing. But another thing that's also very important because we are now a month into it. We got a few more months, and hopefully by election time, it's not going to be a topic that we're going to be talking about at all. But you just never know, and that is hurricane season.
Oh, yeah.
We are the victim of Hurricane Michael. Fortunately, Panama City Beach did not get the direct hit like it was supposed to get, which is amazing because it was supposed to be a direct hit on Panama City Beach, and you can only imagine what would have happened to the beach if it got that brunt. But this is one of the things where that's not learning time. When it comes to the hurricane preparedness, hurricane response,
Yeah.
where do you stand on your preparedness? Should
Yeah.
we get hit with just say another
Wow.
category 5, let alone anything
Yeah.
below that? Where are you
Yeah.
prepared for, and what's your experience to be able to
Yeah.
handle a hurricane or tropical storm?
Uh, Brian, I mean, I'm not lying when I say this, but your question literally just brought chills down my spine.
Mm,
Just going back to that time in 2018, man. We that's the first big hurricane I have ever lived through. Obviously we've had a ton of tropical storms, ones, twos, hurricanes in the last 15 years, but I'll share a very unique story with you. One of the events that I work with is Panama City Beach Oktoberfest, and I was actually on the news station in Dothan, Alabama, WDHN, Monday leading into Hurricane Michael, when we thought it was just going to be a Hurricane One. And I was literally on the news telling people, no, don't worry about this little hurricane. We all know what happens. It's going to come through. It's going to blow out with bad weather. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous just after the hurricane because weather's usually pretty good once a hurricane clears through. And so we went on as it normally would, and we leave the news station, and my wife and my daughter at the because we had my son, we're in the car and we start driving back, um, and as we start getting back, I start getting phone calls like, "Hey, it sounds like they're gonna start closing the bridges." And I'm like, "Oh, that sounds like it's gonna be kind of bad." And it starts coming, it's gonna be a Hurricane 2, and then it's gonna be a Hurricane 3, and then by the time in the hour and a half coming back, my wife and I had talked about it, we need to look about getting out of town here. And the reason why is, my elderly parents, they live over off of North Lagoon. And so we packed them up. We got our important documents together. We got my dog packed up. We got my parents' dog packed up and my daughter packed up. And we had even just found out that my wife was pregnant with, our son, that 2 days prior. And so, we evacuated because we had never living through a 3 or a 4, not knowing it was going to be a 5. And there's a lot of people that was like, I'm sticking in. But, you know, eh, thankfully, our home wasn't hit that bad over in the Glades. But, you know, when I was in away, I was able to buy a bunch of burner phones for my friends, like because Verizon was down for several weeks, and
right.
so I bought about 10 or so burner phones for friends. I bought chainsaws, and when I came back, I was cutting trees off neighbors' yards, friends, anybody that needed help, I was there to help. We even had to camp out. We got a place over in Destin for a couple weeks because we didn't have water. I don't know how long the water was out, but we didn't have power, I think, for longer than we didn't have water in the Glades. And we came back. My parents' home, their their fireplace chimney, it landed in the pool. It crumpled the pool enclosure. They lost the roof. Well, they had to put a new roof on. They didn't lose the roof, but the roof damage, and so we had to do some things with that. But for about 2 3 weeks after that, I was in the community, rolling up my sleeves and helping our neighbors out. And I think it's you know living through a hurricane. I think that's a big qualifying factor here, right? Because if you never lived through a hurricane, it's not like you can't learn from it's not, the history books, right? Like
Right.
it that's ingrained into our spirit. And moreover, does those that serve on our city council, do they have the wherewithal to fight for our community once something bad does happen, right? Are they going to be here helping our neighbors out, cutting trees off of their yards? They're going to be helping, talking with FEMA, fighting for this for our community, to build back better. Are they going to be able to help out those doing those news hits to educate our citizens on about where they can go get water or where they can get food? Because I mean, those that were here, I mean, you know they'll go on the radio or the news and say, just let know where there be water drops, because with the water out, like we had to get big caches of water, cases of water for people to
Hmm.
go find. And it was our city council that drove that line of communication, along with our media partners. And so, we need to make sure our elected officials not only know what it's like to live through a hurricane, have been here to help our community out during that hurricane, and then after the hurricane has happened, they're going to have the wherewithal to be here in our community on the beach, fighting to bring our beach back online as quick as possible. And I think that's a huge thing to think about when you're at the voting polls on who you're voting for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we hope that we don't get hit with another hurricane, but you just never
Oh
know.
God, yeah,
And unless you've lived through this and had the experience of what it's like, and the most important part
yeah,
is post. I mean, it's easy to be like, hey, get out of town, but the post recovery, that's always the area where it seems to be you really need
yeah,
some experience, and it's good that you have that experience under your belt.
yeah.
That
And
you've
and
been
and,
through it.
and if one does happen, I'll be in the trenches with my neighbors,
Hmm.
locked arm in arm to help build back better as quickly as possible. So,
Yeah. Good, good, good. Let's talk a little bit about fiscal responsibility,
oh, yeah,
because obviously this is something that we see all over the place. I mean, Doge here in the state of Florida, there's the FAFO, which I think is brilliant and Blaze and Golia's behalf of calling it that. And we've also seen the recent episode that happened with our Tourist Development Council, which was kind of a disaster. It's since in the process of cleaning up. There's obviously going to be some image
yeah,
rebuilding that goes there. But when it comes to a small town like Panama City Beach, I mean, obviously there's going to be concern about the money, especially since taxes aren't being paid by the citizens, and they want to make sure that money is being spent correctly. What are some of your thoughts on the fiscal responsibility of the city?
oh God, man, that's such a hot topic, rightfully so, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I work for about 40 or so different businesses, and I have each one of their business credit card on file, actively using them to achieve their goals. And you know what happens at the end of every month? I got to provide backup for every charge that goes on that credit card. That owner looks it over. Their accounts payable person approves it. I'm working with their CFOs, right? And it's those kind of things that didn't happen at the TDC, or the documents that were given were forged, but no one went one step further to verify the payments made on that card were in line with what happened on the bank, right? And so it's crucial that that doesn't happen at the city level, because it erodes public trust,
Yeah.
and rightfully so, right? Like, I mean, the problem that happened should have never happened. It's the easiest thing to catch, and it's common business sense and practices that would have caught that if they would have happened. And so I think it's very important that we have uh, the highest level of oversight. And I serve on the half cent sales tax oversight committee, right? And part of that, we look at the payments made are in line with fixing roadway projects, and that's those are tax dollars that go towards fixing our roads, right? And so and it's committees like that help provide that oversight to make sure our dollars are being spent where they're supposed to be spent. And because we don't want to pay any more tax than we have to, but moreover, we don't want to pay extra taxes because someone's stealing from us, right?
Right.
And so, I think it's over. Although public safety is my number one priority, not far below that is making sure that we have fiscal responsibility, because if we build something or if we grow something, we got to be able to maintain it, right? Because if we can't maintain it, just like the roadways we were talking about, like it's great to have nice grass medians, but if we can't maintain that grass and keep it cut and make it look nice, we need to do a different type of median that doesn't account for the maintenance requirements that grass does, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just making sure we're thinking about that every time we're making a business decision as a city.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say that my golden rule for government is don't build it if you can't maintain it.
Exactly.
We it's so easy to go off and build all these things and go, look what we did, and then 5 years
Yeah.
ago you go, yeah, it looks like crap now. So great job on that
Hmm.
one. So yeah,
Yeah.
fiscal responsibility is obviously an important one, and I want to wrap it up with one final big topic, and this was because your opponent in this race. There is a concern from some people because of the fact that he is actually an employee of Panama City. And now he's, obviously he's a Panama City Beach resident and he wants to run for the city council. But it doesn't seem to be any indication that, if he wins the race, that he would
Yeah.
quit and he would focus on that. And it would generate some sort of a conflict of interest. And I think that's a legitimate thing to worry about, that, if you're a city employee and then you're a city council person for another city, where's your loyalty going to be sitting at? But I guess the same question can be dropped to you in a roundabout kind of way, because of all of
Yeah.
the organizations that you are involved with on the beach. Is there
Sure.
anything that you're currently doing that
Yeah.
could be considered a conflict of interest should you get elected as a city council member?
Yeah, great question, Brian. I'm glad you bring that up. Um, just to be quite forefront with you, like, as far as my conflicts go, I've resigned from the planning board and the Half Cent Sales Tax Committee, win or lose, right? And that's part of running for office here. Is you got to resign to run, and then moreover, the other nonprofit boards that I'm on, whether it's the Beach Chamber of Commerce, which the mayor has a seat on, or Beach Care Services Board. um we're trying to build and bring money to those that can't afford to live, right? And that's not a city thing. And even that's another board I even advocated to help. We brought the Mayor Stuart Teddermeyer onto that board as well a few months back. And so yeah, all the boards that I'm on, there's certainly there's no conflicts there at all. Any client that my agency might have, you know I'll tell you right out, just because my company's may build a website or we run a social media ad campaign, by no means does that mean I'm going to do something underhanded. There's a conflict there. And so yeah, there, it's a great question. A lot of people are talking about, but yeah, I've got no conflicts on my side, and I look forward to building a better community that my wife and my kids, once they graduate high school, they can go to college across the bridge at FSU, and then come back, and hopefully we have some strong, high-paying jobs right here in our community, so that they don't want to run off to Nashville or Atlanta or wherever they might want to go, and they stay right here in our community, and we foster an environment that our kids love Panama City Beach so much that they want to stay here post graduation. So
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
that's a great question. But yeah, there, I've been run through the conflicts check, and I certainly don't have any. So
That's good. That is something that I think people will have some confidence on. Grant Wittstruck, running for the Panama City Beach City Council, Ward Number 1. Grant, how can people learn more about you, help you out with campaign donations? Because these
yeah.
things aren't easy; they're not cheap to do. You need a little bit of money, whether it's $5 or $100. How can people learn more and help
Yeah.
you out?
Oh yeah, great question. Thanks, Brian. So yeah, go to votegrantwittstruck.com. That's my website. I'm getting ready to populate some more information, and I got my contribution link there, and all my social media links. Or on Facebook or Instagram, I'm just Grant Wittstruck for City Council Ward 1, Panama City Beach. And so please follow, like, comment on social media. I'm just thrilled with the immense support that's pouring out so far. We're blowing everyone out of the water as far as our engagement goes on social. And I want to meet everyone. And so hit me with a message, an email, or call my phone number on my website, and we'll let's meet, let's have coffee, let's have a little neighborhood roundup, invite all your neighbors to your house, your driveway, or I really want to meet you, and learn the concerns of all the citizens here in Panama City Beach, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So
Yeah, absolutely. Grant Wittstruck, the election's coming up November 3rd for the big election
Yep.
day. Grant, good luck for that. Thanks so much for coming on. And, hopefully we'll follow up with you as the next city council member.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Grant Wittstruck, again, he is running for the Panama City Beach City Council Ward number 1. Election's coming up on November 3rd. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is the Brian Rush Show. Good morning.